Here is our fourth lecture regarding forensic archaeology, the title of Implication of Forensic Archaeology in the Indian Context. I welcome Akshata Armugam to take over this delightful section. She is an archaeologist with lots of experience. She is currently working as a research associate at the Tamil Nadu State Department of Archaeology since 2023, and she also worked as a volunteer in an Archaeological Survey of India. She received a gold medal in epigraphy and archaeology in diploma, and she did a diploma in forensic archaeology. Ma'am, you can start now.
Yes, thank you for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. Myself, Akshita Armugam. So, today's topic that I'm going to talk about is implications of forensic archaeology in India. So, what we'll be seeing in this lecture? First, what forensic archaeology is, introduction to forensic archaeology, difference between forensic archaeology and bioarchaeology, role of forensic archaeologist, essential knowledge and skills for a forensic archaeologist, laws that are involved in forensic science in archaeology, methods and techniques involved, key application of forensic archaeology in India, case study showing why forensic archaeology is very much important. And we will also be dealing with the future prospects and recommendations for forensic archaeology in India. So, first, I would like to put forward a question. What is forensic archaeology? Like, anyone can turn your mic on and say what forensic archaeology is.
Ma'am, is it related to zoo archaeology?
Uh, okay. Zooarchaeology means like you mean bioarchaeology, like both are like sub branch. Okay, okay.
Remains collected from a site and
Mm-mm.
study regarding that.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir,
Remains
for your
okay.
yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So, uh, basically, uh, like I'll deal with that. I'll explain you what forensic archaeology, so that you can know the difference between forensic archaeology, zoo archaeology, or bioarchaeology. Okay, forensic archaeology is nothing but a interdisciplinary field. Okay, where archaeology, forensic science, and law enforcement come together. In forensic science, we deal with medico-legal thing. Medico-legal is nothing but medicine and law enforcement being together. Forensic science term is derived from a Latin word called forensis, which means place of assembly. It means like application of scientific principles to matter of criminal and civil law to provide some justice. Like from forensic science, we collect the evidence to provide to court. What is archaeology? Archaeology is a term derived from a Greek word named archaeos and logos, which means study of ancient or old. Archaeology is nothing but study of past using material remains that we collect from the site. So, bringing these two disciplines together, we have an interdisciplinary field called forensic archaeology. Forensic archaeology is nothing but applying archaeological techniques and principles, also methods to identify and recover the remains. Okay, the key no, key factor in forensic archaeology is it is used for legal purposes to provide justice, jurisdiction. So this is where forensic archaeology is used. Uh, Here also we do excavation. The importance of forensic archaeology is like to identify mass graves, heritage crimes, criminal investigation. Everywhere forensic archaeology is used. Another important role of forensic archaeology is identification of the individual. So in normal terms, like we will identify if it is a male or female, but in case of forensic archaeology, for example, we deal with a flight crash site. Okay, uh, like let's say this crash site is from World War period. So here the task is to identify the warrior who is dead. So identification of individual is also important in forensic archaeology. So, like, what is bioarchaeology? Okay, bio is forensic archaeology and bioarchaeology is the same. The first response we got for forensic archaeology is like it is similar to zoo archaeology, but it is actually two different fields. Forensic archaeology and bioarchaeology are two different fields, but both of them deal with the skeletal remains and also skeletal remains of humans and animals. Like both of them deal with that. Both of them deal with the uh, ancient remains as well. So there are many similarities. So we are very likely to confuse between these two fields. The difference between forensic archaeology and bioarchaeology or zoo archaeology is by the aspects that you can see on the screen now. The purpose of forensic archaeology is legal investigations, like I have told you before. But in case of bioarchaeology, it is to reconstruct the past and the culture. The time frame of investigation in forensic archaeology, which is very interesting. Forensic archaeology not just deals with the past remains but also recent remains. Recent remains in a sense, they remind some murder that have happened a day before or 10 days before, and it will also deal with the murder or burial that have happened thousands of years old. So they'll be in forensic archaeology they'll be dealing with both past and recent remains, whereas in case of biology, bioarchaeology, they will be examining ancient or historical remains only, because antiquity or artifact is nothing but something that is older than 100 years of old. So bioarchaeology will stick to this archaeological protocols, but forensic archaeology will stick to legal and archaeological protocols. So, coming to legal and ethical consideration, forensic archaeology is in need to follow forensic protocols because the evidence of forensic archaeology is produced in court. Okay, so the admissibility of that evidence is very much important. So we should follow forensic protocols. Whereas in case of bioarchaeology, the ethical guidelines, like we have certain ethics in archaeology, right? Only that should be followed. It is not going to be submitted as some legal evidence. So no legal protocols are need to be followed in bioarchaeology. The methods and techniques involved in forensic archaeology is like the archaeological field methods. Like I'll be explaining it in much detail in upcoming slides. In bioarchaeology, we'll be dealing with osteological and archaeological analysis. In forensic archaeology, also we'll be using osteology. Osteology is nothing but study of bones, the skeleton remains and all. The goal of forensic archaeology is to assist law enforcement. Like I'm repeating it again and again to make sure that application of forensic archaeology is very much related to legal. Okay, legal in a sense like law pursuit and all. In bioarchaeology, the end goal is to reconstruct the past human life and society. What is the role of forensic archaeology? It is very much similar to what archaeologists do. So, first, what we have to do is to locate the site and the remains through exploration methods. We have different methods of exploration, like intrusive, non-intrusive, and all, which I'll be dealing in upcoming slide. Once you go to a site, you locate the site, you locate where to excavate. Like site is a very big thing. We cannot excavate everywhere. We need to locate the particular place where we need to uh, do the excavation, which is like done identified through exploration, which I'll explain later. So after identifying where to excavate, we'll be doing the actual excavation using like we need to first understand what is underneath. So not exactly like if it is a monument or skeletal remains, we don't need to know about the exact thing, and we cannot know about the exact thing that is underneath, but we need to have a basic idea so that we can utilize the excavation method that will be apt for that particular place. Then the next step is to record and document. So Archaeology is nothing but systematic destruction of the site. Once you excavate the site, you cannot recreate it. It is gone. That's all. So, what we need to do is we need to record each and every step in a detailed manner, and we need to document it. So, we will be taking photographs, we will be doing 3D scanning of the trenches that we are digging, and we'll be labeling each and every objects that we are getting. In forensic archaeology case, we will be saying artifacts as evidences, each and every evidence that we get, and we will also draw a map to spot from which place we get which. Why this record and documentation is important? Because uh, the object once removed from the soil will lose its context. We will not know if for example, let's take a knife. We will not know if the knife was present beside the skeleton or above the skeleton, or it is somewhere out of context to the skeleton. We will not be knowing that once we collect it out of the soil. So it is very much needed to document where it is found, at which depth, and everything should be noted down. The next step is to analyze, study, and interpret. We get the remains, we send it to laboratory where we do this analyzing, study, and interpretation, so that we will be knowing if that skeletal remain belong to a male, or is it belong to a female, or what is their age, and everything will be determined. And the nature of death, cause of death, reason to death, everything will be determined. The final role of forensic archaeologist is very important, which is report writing. All the hard work you put in this four step will be reflected only through the report, and this report is going to stay as the evidence in the court before law. So report writing is a crucial part that forensic archaeologists should keep in mind. All the, like, how you do the exploration, how you did the excavation, step by step, what and all you have found in it, everything should be mentioned in the report. Next, biological profiling. Biological profiling is nothing but identifying the skeletal remain. So once we get the skeletal remain, we'll be identifying its age estimation, sex determination, ancestry assessment, and stature estimation. Age estimation can be done through different bones of the body, like from ribs we can estimate the age, and pubic symphysis can be used in age estimation. So which is a very huge chapter, so I'm not going into detail because of the time constraint. So I'll explain basic information about it. Okay. Next, sex determination, which can be done through skull and pelvic girdle. Everything will help us to understand if it is a male or a female, if it is a child burial or a juvenile, every, or it is an adult, everything will be understand through bones. Next is ancestry assessment. We have three different ancestry: European, Asian, and African. So which can be identified using the skeletal remains, like through skull and all we can identify it. Using this, we will be finding the ancestry of the individual. Next is stature estimation. Stature is nothing but identifying the height of the individual. Okay, which is done using the long bones of the body, like femur, humerus, and all. So, why do we do this? Like, what is the role of this four things that we use for biological profiling? It is used to eliminate factors like for example, missing cases reported, and we know that person is male and his age is some 30 to 40, and he is from Africa, and he is of 150 or like a 5 feet height and all. So we get that information. So keeping that in mind, if we do the age estimation, uh, we find that the skeletal remain is 20 years old. Like, we will be getting the age range only, not the exact age. So 20 to 30 years old. but the missing person that we got is 30 to 40. So with the first step itself we can eliminate that this is not that particular individual. So likewise we can eliminate the possibilities, and it helps us to solve some missing case or hold case. Everything can be solved using this. The next is essential knowledge and skills for a forensic archaeology. Like I have said, archaeological methods and techniques are implemented in forensic context, so which is very much useful. So the person might must have archaeological knowledge. Then forensic knowledge is must, and bone knowledge is must. They should know how to handle the crime scene investigation, because like crime scene investigation is filled with traces and evidences. So if you like walk directly and touch everything, you will be tampering the evidence. So certain protocols and like wearing the coveralls, like so that your hair, or like you do wearing the gloves, so that you don't leave your fingerprint there, because then you become the victim, right? So I mean, sorry, you became the criminal. So you will become a suspect. So those protocols must be followed. So the person must have knowledge about crime scene investigation and also evidence handling. So evidence we are speaking about is very important. Like we'll be maintaining a chain of custody, for which is I excavate the evidence and I put it in a ziploc bag. I label it from which locus it is, from where it is excavated and all. I label it and I sign the label. Okay, then I seal it and I transport it to another place. For example, I'm transporting it to a laboratory. So it reaches a laboratory where the in charge who receive the parcel will be documenting it, like how they receive the package should be documented. They will be taking a video showing the entire package, if it is opened or if it is tampered, everything should be noted down, so that we are making sure that evidence is not tampered anyway during the transport. Then they'll be documenting the condition of the evidence that is present inside, and they'll be doing their sign showing that this particular object is received from this person to this person. Like we'll be taking the video, right, once we receive the Amazon parcel and all, uh, for a precaution thing, to make sure if the object inside is damaged or damaged and all, we need to put a written. So for which a precaution thing, we will be taking a video. It is very similar to that. They will be doing a video documentation of how they receive the evidence and what is the condition of it. That is called evidence handling. Next is remote sensing and geophysical knowledge should be there. Then taphonomy and decomposition process should be known. Taphonomy is nothing but the study of relationship between human body and environment, like how the environment affects the human body. Let's take two cases. In one, a murder happens and a body is thrown in an open environment. In the next case, the body is put inside a closed room. In both the condition, the environment is very different. So in what happens is the different environment affects the decomposition differently. Like one might get one at the outdoor might get easily decomposed in 10 days or something, but one at in the interior, because of low temperature, favorable climatic condition, it might decompose late. So the person should know the taphonomy and decomposition process. By knowing this, they can also say, like you observe some mark on the skeleton, so they can say if that mark is because of taphonomical change, or it is because of some incident that happened because of during the murder. Okay, they can understand those details. Legal and ethical consideration should be there. Anthropological and cultural history knowledge should be there. We'll be dealing with World War II sites, burial sites, everything will be dealt. So they should have the knowledge about history. Report writing and expert testimony, like you go to court and you present yourself as an expert in um, a murder case, cold case, and missing case and all. You'll be giving your testimony as an expert. so you should know how to do it. Then digital documentation knowledge should be there how you do it. And 3D reconstruction of the trench, of the like 3D reconstruction of the phase of the remains, everything should be kept in consideration. Like uh, that is very much essential knowledge for the forensic archaeologist. They must be very friendly and flexible so that interdisciplinary collaboration and communication is possible, because forensic archaeology itself is a interdisciplinary field. So interdisciplinary collaboration and communication should be made possible. Laws of forensic science and archaeology. uh, in There are many laws in forensic science, like law of individuality, principle of exchange, Locke's principle, principle of comparison, law of analysis, law of probability, law of circumstantial facts, principle of progressive change. I'm not going to explain everything in detail because of time constraint. I'll be explaining very few important laws. Law of individuality, it is nothing but every individual have distinguished fingerprint and DNA. So which can be helpful for a forensic scientist to identify the person or responsible for murder perpetrator, that can be identified. Principle of exchange is nothing but every touch leaves a trace. For example, there is a two car which dash against each other. Okay, one is a red car. Imagine another one is a blue car. So what happens is, uh, there will be a scratch mark, that is the leaving of trace. And in some cases the blue paint of the car might get transferred to the red car, so that is also leaving the trace. Okay, this is what we call as principle of exchange or Locke's principle. Next is principle of comparison. We get some sample, DNA sample like blood or something we get from the site, which we do DNA analysis and which we compare to know whose blood it is. We get fingerprint, which we do compare with the database to know who that person is. So this is called principle of comparison. Coming to the laws of archaeology, we'll be dealing with law of superposition, law of inclusion, law of association, law stratigraphic laws, charismatic. So everything in this will be playing a major role in forensic archaeology. I'll explain these laws. So first I will explain what stratigraphy is. So you can see this picture, right? Here we can see different colors, which is mentioned as stratum A, B, C, E, and all. There is this lavender color layer above which brown color layer is there, and again lavender. We can see those different layers, right? So this set of layers, which is soil layers, is what we call as strata. The study of the strata is called stratigraphy. Okay, I hope that is clear. And you can see this blue arrow mark at the side, which shows youngest and oldest, right? So I'll explain it with an example. Imagine you're taking a bowl. At first, you're putting sand in it, then you put some rock in it, then you put some pebbles. So now, in the glass bowl we have three layers: sand, rock, and pebbles. So which one will be the earliest or oldest one? First, I have dropped in sand. That's why it is at the bottom. So that sand is the oldest. Which one is the latest or youngest one? The pebble that I have dropped in, because that stays at the top and I have dropped it at the last. So that is the youngest. In the similar way, the stratigraphy works. Okay, the lowest layer is the oldest, and the one we walk on, the one that we can see now, like if you look at the ground soil, the one you're seeing right now is the youngest one. Hope that clears. Like if you have any doubt in this, you can ask me now, so that we all same travel in the same pace and we don't miss anything. If you have any doubt, you can unmute and ask now. Okay. So I'll continue. The next is law of superposition. Superposition is nothing but, you can see here stratum B. above which we can see stratum A. So I have explained, right? The older one is beneath and the youngest one is above. So this is what we call as law of superposition. Here stratum B is oldest and stratum A is youngest. I mean, comparing all the five layers, stratum E would be the oldest and stratum A would be the youngest. So this is called law of superposition. The one underneath will be the old and the one above will be the young. Okay. A law of inclusion. Law of so here in stratum B, we can see glass bottle which is present in it. If the glass bottle is older than stratum B, it will be present above. Okay, it cannot be inside stratum B, right? So this glass bottle should be older than stratum B or of same age, so that it is present inside the stratum. So that is what we call the law of inclusion. Next is law of association. Here in stratum B, we can see a glass bottle and horseshoe. Right? This glass bottle and horseshoe present in same strata, showing that these two belong to same age range. We cannot say exactly they are same age, but they belong to same age range. Okay. The next is stratigraphic laws, like which I have explained now. I This image also explains about the law of inclusion association. And the next one is the law of cross cutting. Okay, so here you can see the red layer, yellow layer and all. So here is a purple layer which penetrates throughout the red one, yellow one and all. This starts from the top layer, which is red layer, and comes throughout the old layer, but it starts at the red one, right? So this should be youngest, because there should be some pit. You dig something in the ground and you put something inside. Okay, so what happens there is you disturb the naturally formed soil layer. You take out the older soil outside and you put it inside back. So there is some disturbance, which is very recent activity, so we are calling it as the youngest one. The next is arithmetics, which is nothing but studying this soil layer in form of flowchart. Methods and techniques involved in forensic archaeology, like I said earlier, forensic taphonomy and decomposition, which is postmortem changes and environmental effects on remains, should be known. 3D scanning and reconstruction, survey methods, intrusive one and non-intrusive methods. Like when I was explaining about the key roles of forensic archaeologists, I told about the exploration method, intrusive and non-intrusive. Intrusive is nothing but where you affect the soil, like like this is the exploration method. There is a method called probing, where you put a t-shaped rod inside the soil. Okay, so in this method we'll be disturbing the soil layer, like there is a physical contact with the soil. So this is intrusive method. In case of non-intrusive method, what we'll be doing is, for example, ground penetrating radar, where only the radar passes through. Will be just sweeping through the soil, like the machine doesn't exactly disturbs the soil layer. Okay, so this kind of non-physically disturbing thing is known as non-intrusive method. We use this intrusive and non-intrusive methods in exploration to know where exactly we can excavate. So there is some remains there, so we can excavate and we can find something. So that kind of knowledge can be gained through it. Next is excavation techniques, like where in excavation we'll be studying the stratigraphy, we'll be doing documentation, we'll be doing systematic recovery of evidence. In case of I told that the person should have knowledge about bones, right? So in case of skeletal remains, we can easily like differentiate if it is for example, I take a humerus, your um, hand bone, right? So I take that bone and I can easily differentiate if it belongs to right side or left side. But in case of the very small bones like your finger bones, phalanges, it would be very difficult to side it if it belong to right side or left side. So the person should have knowledge to segregate the bones. Like while excavating itself, that person should put right side bones in a separate cover and label it as the respective side it is from and all, so that it is not being confused in later stages and it is maintained exactly. So like here also we can see forensic osteology, which is the bone knowledge should be there. So this is also important in age estimation, sex determination, trauma analysis, and skeletal remains. Trauma analysis is nothing but studying the fracture mechanism. Like imagine a person is getting fractured in his hand, okay, and in months the fracture would be healed, right? What happens while healing? uh, the new bone forms, so that it is no longer fractured, and it is perfectly fine. But when you study the skeleton, you can see that new bone form. Like you can see that healing that have happened. So this study is known as trauma analysis. Or even like if someone hit in the head and there is a fracture, studying about that is also called trauma analysis. DNA and isotope analysis is also done. So, using these methods, we can identify the purpose, like we can identify the individual and we can serve it as evidence. The next is key applications in India. Where and all we can use forensic archaeology in India? We can use it in crime scene investigation, in mass graves and human rights violations. We can use it in disaster victim recovery, historical archaeology, unidentified and missing person cases. Legal and judicial support will be provided by forensic archaeology. Advanced techniques in forensic technology should be implied in forensic archaeology so that we get the result that is needed. Uh, and forensic taphonomical knowledge should be there so that we can apply it at the appropriate place. Okay, so we can implement forensic archaeology in these many places, like crime scene, mass graves, and all. I have given an example for the five things like where and all it could have been used. So I have given example like for crime scene investigation. There is in 2008 Nidari serial killing which happened in Uttar Pradesh, where they have excavated skeletal remains from drain. So in this case, they could have used forensic archaeologists so that mm, uh, the remains could have taken in a proper appropriate manner. In mass graves also we can use forensic archaeology so that we separate the skeletal remains, like this skeleton belongs to A, this skeleton belongs to B. So forensic archaeologists can do that, like they can separate the individual skeletons. So in disaster victim recovery also we can use it. In the next is historical archaeology. We can use it in burial sites, for example Adichanallur and all. We can use forensic archaeology so that the bone and everything can be studied. The next is the case study. This case study is basically a story of a homicide. Homicide is nothing but a murder that happened. In a simple term, it's a murder. So, this case study will show us how forensic archaeology is very important. Okay. So, speaking about the case, it was in 2019 a woman reported that her father was mysteriously disappeared. He was disappeared in 2008, which happened in Argentina. So, she suspected that he was being murdered then and buried near their rural home. What happened is police and firefighters conducted investigation. They went to the site. The site would be very big, so they don't know where to excavate it. So they conducted unstructured excavation based on the witness testimony, which is the daughter's testimony. They have excavated, but they couldn't find anything. So what happened? Forensic archaeologists stepped in. So they did use scientific excavation methods and exploration methods to identify the burial. They identified a suspicious area with disturbed soil and unusual vegetation, okay, which showed the signs of possible burial. So disturbed soil is like once you dig the soil, you will be disturbing the soil underneath as well, right? So the soil color will be mixed up. So there will be color change. So the texture will be changed. Like you'll be disturbing the composition. So obviously the soil might be loose. The soil might be um, different in nature. Everything will be known as a disturbed soil, unusual vegetation. So for this I'll be explaining with this image. So this is what we call as a crop mark in archaeology. If some remains is present underneath, for example, there is a biological remains underneath, it nourishes the growth. Okay, so here you can see, right, there are many green plants there. So there is some biological remains underneath which nourishes the crop, making it to grow taller or even greener comparative to the neighboring crops. If it is a monument, what happens? Then it will not provide the sufficient water. It will be like restricting the crop from getting the sufficient nutrition. So the growth will be reduced. The color would be more paler. So in this image you can find the greener spots, right, like which shows the crop marks. So using those things, the unusual vegetation growth, they spotted the burial. So what happened is a controlled excavation took place, and they revealed a human skeleton which was wrapped in plastic and cloth, which is buried in a shallow grave. The body was positioned in a seated posture. So if you're going to bury someone, you'll be digging. Like you cannot dig 5 feet or 6 feet hole in a small time. You do a murder. How we can cover up the murder in very small time, right? So what we do will be trying a hurried disposable manner in such a way. Someone dug a shallow grave and put the body in a seated position, so that the body will be fitting in the small hole itself. And with that, your cognitive and psychology thing is used to identify that it is a hurried disposal. uh, what happened next is the remain was sent to the laboratory where biological profiling was done, and it is known that the person is 50 to 65 years old, male with rib fracture, and there was skull injury, which might be the reason for his death. Which is the reason for his death. He was struck on his head with some blunt force. So with this profiling, they could come to a conclusion that this profile matches with the missing person case reported by the daughter. Like the daughter reported, right, her father is missing. So the remain actually matched with her father. So after 11 years of being buried, they have solved the case. And using the evidence analysis and all, and DNA analysis, they have within 74 hours the police arrested the perpetrator, which is none other than his own son. Okay, this case highlight how forensic archaeology combined with anthropology, forensic anthropology, entomology, and DNA analysis can solve complex crimes that traditional methods fail to uncover. So missing cases, cold case, everything can be solved. So this study emphasized why forensic archaeology is very important in the crime scene investigation and for legal proceedings. The next is future prospects and recommendation. Need for dedicated forensic archaeology programs in Indian universities, establishment of a national forensic archaeology unit, collaboration between archaeologists, forensic scientists, and law enforcement. Need for legal recognition of forensic archaeologists in Indian law enforcement, adoption of AI and remote sensing for forensic applications. I'm speaking about forensic archaeology, right, all this time. So where do we get this course? Like, where can we authentic, uh, authentically learn the course? So I have learned it from National Forensic Sciences University, which is in Gujarat, Gandhinagar. So they provide a professional diploma in forensic archaeology, which is a 6 months long course where you'll be having your practicals done, and also your theoretical classes will be taken regularly. You'll be given assignments, tests. You'll be given many case studies to deal with. Through this, we can get a knowledge about forensic archaeology. So, thank you. I would like to take a minute to thank all the archaeologists, my professors, my teachers, and all the archaeological officials from my ASI and State Department who have guided me and helped me throughout my journey and will be guiding me year after as well. I would like to thank Friends of Heritage Sites, and I would also like to thank Dr. Gagi Jani and Dr. William Belcher from National Forensic a department like NFSU, National Forensic Sciences University of Gandhinagar, for guiding me throughout the diploma and helping me to gain the knowledge. So thank you for the opportunity, ArchaeoTrials. Thank you. And if you have any doubts, you can ask.
I do have a doubt.
Yes, please.
So, what's the basic difference between forensic science and forensic archaeology?
Okay. So, forensic sciences, you're not going to implement archaeological methods, like you're not going to do the excavation and all. You're not going to some World War sites and all and do the excavation. Forensic science is dealing with the remains, like after the skeletal remains goes to the laboratory, that process is dealt by forensic science persons. Like in crime scenes and all, they collect, they do photography, they take fingerprints and all, but the excavation is especially done by forensic archaeologists. I hope that answers your question.
Actually, no, because
Okay.
what I see is that those things that you have just mentioned can be done by
Mm-mm.
a bioarchaeologist also. This age determination and trauma analysis can be done
Obviously.
by bioarchaeologists also. So,
Yes.
what's the particular need of a forensic archaeologist here? And basically, if we
Mm.
go with that, there is a forensic scientist there and then forensic archaeologist there, who would
Mm-mm.
be the one that is going to be preferred? It would be a forensic science student, no? It not be the archaeologist one. So I have a
Forensic
doubt on
science
that.
student.
And
Yeah,
one more,
yeah,
one
you
more,
can
one more. Yeah,
continue.
one more,
Yeah, yeah.
one more. And many of the examples you have mentioned cannot be considered within the range of archaeology, to be my concern, because it does
Mm-mm.
not becomes that much antique. So
Mm-mm.
it is more focused on those aspects that are just done recently. And
Mm-mm.
these aspects, there are historical records or legal records are there. So
Mm.
there doesn't arise a need for an archaeologist to come in and do his work here.
Mm. Okay. So that's why I have explained this in first. Forensic archaeology deals with the recent and past, like you have said. It is not like they only deal with the past remains. So what is the difference is between forensic archaeology and bioarchaeology is the legal significance. Like you do some excavation. B- Based on the legal significance and which is provided as evidence to court. Okay. So you asked like forensic science student can be preferred by archaeologists because forensic science student is they need to be trained in excavation if they want to do some clandestine burial is there, like some burial is there, they cannot excavate it as it is. So there should be knowledge of archaeology. So this mixture of both is what we call as forensic archaeology. Forensic archaeology is not about the past, like what we see in bioarchaeology. It is about only dealing with the past remains, like the ancient remains. But it is not in the case with forensic archaeology. Implementing archaeological methods and techniques only. It is not about dealing with the past alone. But forensic archaeologists do perform in historical sites and archaeological sites also. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
okay, okay. Yeah, so
Okay.
Ma'am, I do have a doubt too.
Yes, sir, please.
Do we have to learn about the stages of decomposition, like bloating and like that?
Yes, sir. We need to know because that like you need to know the stages of decomposition so that you will be having the better understanding which stage of decomposition the body is in. So if it is bloating, you will be knowing that the body is dead for some days only. The bodily fluids got decomposed inside. That's why the bloating happens. If it is in a stage of uh, like where the skin get slips, like if it is in that stage, it is like past the bloating. So we will be knowing the age between death. We will be calling that as a post-mortem interval. So we'll be knowing when the death have happened, and since after which period we have found it. So to know that gap and age estimation of death, we need to know the stage of decomposition, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.